Hello everyone, how are we all doing? Now I thought I'd take the opportunity to do a video outside, considering the sun is shining for the first time this year it seems in the UK, and I'm sat outside in the garden. The only trouble is, as I've put all the cushions out to sit outside, I've gone to move all the cushions or move all the furniture around. There's been a lot of spiders running around everywhere. I'm not the biggest fan of spiders. They are a great exposure for me. But no, I'm sat here as a great exposure. Fear's actually got really better with spiders. Obviously nothing compared to OCD suffering, but I'm working on the fear of OCD, fear of spiders. But no, this is a big exposure, because if a spider lands on my head, then you might suddenly hear a scream from me. Right, so I'm doing a video talking about how OCD will scour the past, how it's going to scan the past, how it's going to search in the past for things. Okay, now it did this for me for years, absolutely years, always looking for something that it could latch to, it could grip its teeth into, something just out of reach, something I couldn't quite get certainty on, and that's exactly what it does. Okay, and it's like a tick box. Okay, it's going to go after things. Oh yeah, that ticks the box, that ticks the box, that ticks the box, and OCD is like rubbing its hands going, yeah, perfect, and it's looking for events like that. It's looking for things in the past, memories like that, things we haven't quite got clarity on, uncertain moments, maybe drunk moments, maybe moments at ages we can't quite tell what happened or can't quite remember what happened. So that faded memory is going to go after that. OCD rubs its hands at that. Okay, and it's so important to talk about, because people often come into calls and say, yeah, but Sam, why is it going after that? You know, 2 years ago I didn't even think about it, but why now is it suddenly latched to something that happened 5 years ago? Well, that's because OCD has been scouring the past. It's looking for that thing. What about this? There's that internal tick box, right? So okay, so you can't remember how old you are, tick. You were drunk, tick. Let's use the false memory event. Let's say you had sex with someone. You can't quite remember how drunk you were or how drunk they were, tick. You can't quite remember what was said, tick. You know, it's going to go after those kind of things. It's exactly what it does. It's not going to go after something that you're although you can't be certain about anything, it's not going to go after something that you're pretty sure you know what happened. It's going to go after those things and really latch to those moments of what happened, uncertain moments, those grey areas, those did this happen? I can't quite remember. Okay, and that's exactly what it's going to do. So it's the same principles, as you know, as I'm sure you're on watching the channel. I'm sure if you're getting one-to-one calls, if you're on the webinars, you'll know that it's, even if it did happen, because you've got to go towards worst case scenario. Because if you're still trying to work out whether it's real or false, if you're still trying to get an answer, still trying to get certainty, then that is a futile pursuit. That is a path to nowhere. You're never going to find that, because even if you get 99.9% sure, OCD will say, yeah, but what about this? Yeah, what about that? How old were you? Yeah, but did you deliberately think this? What was your intentions? You know, he's going to do that. You know, many times with me, it will be where I felt like I was in grabbing distance of finding the answer, touching distance of just knowing, getting certainty. I'm so close. And OCD would come in and go, nope, move it, and then move the goalposts. So it felt like I was miles away again. It felt like, because it would normally look at it from a different angle. So the example that I used, it would be, okay, so you remember how old you were, but now how drunk were you? It's going to show that different angle in. It's going to throw that different angle in, where it's always looking for that uncertain area. Okay, so trying to get an answer, trying to find the key to the problem is a waste of your time. It's very automatic. OCD is very convincing. It's got a very good knack of convincing you within seconds that you may have done wrong, that you may have acted immorally, that you may have acted badly, that you're going to jail for the rest of your life. That's what it does, and that is why within that moment it feels, I need to work this out, I need to get an answer, I need certainty, I need to know for sure. That's what it's going to do. But we don't. It's OCD's bluff. We've got to carry on doing with whatever we're doing regardless. Do not put anything off, do not change any plans, do not reschedule any plans, things like that in the moment. So don't just stop what you're doing because of OCD's latch. It's going to do that, whilst continue to chip away at the worst case scenario, even if the worst case was true, even if your fear did come true. Okay, that takes a time, obviously a lot of time, because you're not going to just make peace with worst case scenario at the click of your fingers, at reading a book, at one call or 3 calls is not going to happen that quickly. And these perspective shifts, they come over time. It could be 6 months, it could be a year, it could be a lot longer, it could be a lot less. There is no set time frame, there is no set deadline on that. So it's very, very, very important to remember. And hence why we use the word real event / false memory, because it doesn't matter whether it's real, it doesn't matter whether it's false. We have to use the same tools. It's not like, oh yeah, but you know this one 100% sure is real, and that one's definitely false, so you use this principle here, and you use this way of thinking here. No, okay? Regardless, if it's real, if it's false. I often say to people, even with false memory, even when they're convinced that no, it definitely didn't happen, I say, well, let's say it did, and let's go down that path, because you still saying that it definitely didn't happen, that it's false, I know for sure it didn't happen. It doesn't matter to OCD, because OCD will convince you that it did happen. Okay, it's very convincing. It can twist things, it can manipulate things, it can auto-suggestion. You don't even have to think about it afterwards. It's just like, you've done this, you've done this, you've done this thing in the past, you've done this thing in the past, you've done this thing in the past. No amount of working it out is going to get that answer. Okay, I'm sure you can relate to this, because I'm really talking from personal experience here. I was stuck with real event false memory OCD for many years. One's latching longer than others, and then at times when I'd confess, when I'd get relief from my partner, or when I try and feel like I was getting closer to an answer, OCD would just switch, morph, find something else, change the angle, move the goalposts, change the boundary. Oh yeah, but did this happen? And like I said, it's going after those grey areas where you're not quite sure of an answer. Looking in now, you know, when you're stuck in that moment, when you are consumed in an OCD cycle, it's very hard to see it. But here I am, recovered, looking in on people's OCD journeys. That's the job I do. I'm an OCD coach here, so I'm saying yes, it's clear as day to me what's keeping you stuck. But the skill is seeing that, okay, let's put your mind in that OCD sufferer's mind. How are they viewing it? Because I could say, from me going, yes, that you need to view it like this, but it's putting your mind in there, sort of looking it through their eyes and go, right, how are they seeing it? Okay, let's take this angle, let's look at this acceptance here. Because, and this is why, if you speak to someone who doesn't necessarily understand OCD that well, or just read a few books on mild OCD, or like thoughts of thoughts and the exposures, it's very difficult to understand the realness of it. And that was the biggest thing, and that's the biggest thing for me, because I completely understand that realness. You know, within seconds, convince you going to jail for the rest of your life. Within seconds, that nothing else matters in the world. Convinced within seconds that, well, what's the point, because this thing happened 10 years ago. And the big thing that it does, and a huge fear of mine, and I'm sure you can really relate to this, is that OCD would say, yeah, but that means no career goal now, nothing you can aim for now, no financial target, no exercise, nothing that you want to do in life, so your hobbies or your interests or just any career, it doesn't matter now, because all this is going to come out anyway. So in 10 years time, 20 years time, 30 years time, your false memory, your real event's going to come out to the world anyway, and your whole life's going to be ruined. So OCD would say, yeah, but there's no point doing anything now. You might as well just do nothing. You might as well just get in a chronic guilt cycle, and you might as well put things off and avoid stuff, because it's all going to come out eventually. You know, that is exactly what it goes after, and that's so critical to understand how that's how it operates. Because when you're caught up in that moment, you don't think like that. You're just thinking, oh shit, it all just feels so real. You're thinking, oh shit, bloody hell, I didn't notice that. So it's important that you're reminded of that and live your life regardless. And someone's joined me here. He's joined me for the video. Hello, boy. So I've just set crisp, so all the crumbs fall down and he eats all the crumbs. Yes. Right, back to it. Right, so yeah, I mean, the convincingness, the realness, it does that, and you don't need me to persuade you of that. You know how real that feels. He's enjoying the sun. Yeah, you know how real that feels, that complete and utter, within a matter of seconds, this is real. How have I not thought of that before? What the hell? How did I not think of that false memory before? How did I not think of that real event before? That's exactly what it does, okay? So we have to view it, sort of take that step back, okay? What advice would you give to someone else if they came to you? Because in the moment, we can't see that. You know, when you're stuck in the moment of real event false memory, it's very difficult to see it from a different angle, because you're so caught up in your head, aren't you? You're so consumed in the cycle. That's all I say to people. Okay, let's take a step back. If someone was speaking to you and asked, how would you view it in their situation, you would answer it a lot differently, because you're seeing it through their eyes. You're seeing it without the gripping, convincing power. Okay, that's so important to remember. So when you are stuck in that cycle, just think, okay, well, how else can I view this? How can I try and be rational about this? Because when we're so caught in that cycle, it's very hard to be rational. It's because we're automatically, we're so used to thinking, oh, how do I get quick relief? How do I get a quick fix? How do I escape this feeling because I hate this feeling? It's easy to think like that. Okay, so we've got to remember that it's going to do that. So I think that's a very good way of looking at it and going, right, how could I apply unconditional acceptance here? Where am I going wrong with my beliefs? How am I viewing it? Am I catastrophizing? Am I internally catastrophizing? Am I being very black and white? Am I saying this is awful? Am I saying I can't stand it? I can't bear it? I must not have done this. This would be the worst thing ever. I couldn't live with the guilt forever. That the consequences would be too much. All that, like catastrophizing. It's important to do that, and then you identify the core fears that are really holding you back. And I can't highlight enough the convincing power of OCD. It's going to be, right, this happened, and you're going to jail for the rest of your life. And you get so caught up in that, and then you then try and figure out the real event again. You then go back to figuring out the false memory again because of how convincing that feels. But you've got to try and view it from a different angle and look at the worst case scenario from a different light. Okay, what's holding me back here? Analysing or trying to get an answer, it's got me nowhere in the past. I now need to look at it from a different angle, meaning look at your beliefs, look at the core fear, look at how you're catastrophizing the worst case scenario. Try and go towards making peace with the worst case scenario by looking at the good outcomes if that happened, looking at what you can learn from the worst case scenario, and ultimately what you can still be grateful for if the worst case scenario came true. That's just such an important way of looking at it. Okay, and that really gets the ball rolling into overcoming OCD and anything in the past, any sort of guilt-related theme. And that's not just real event false memory that works for. If you can make peace with a worst-case scenario, case scenario, then OCD loses that latching, gripping power, that oomph that it hits you with, that boom, take you off your feet, that overwhelming feeling. Okay, you're not going to just make peace with worst case scenario overnight. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of patience, but it's important you just keep chipping away at it. I never thought I was going to make peace with worst case scenario when it was latching to all the guilt related, taboo related themes. No, I can never make peace with that. I can never accept that. That'd be the worst thing ever. No way. But bit by bit, gradually, over time, perspective shifts, light bulb moments, gratitude shifts, doing exposures as well, yes, very important, and just seeing that it's all just fear, and fear's an illusion, and you're gradually bringing that down and seeing it for OCD's bluff. Okay, I cannot highlight enough the importance of time in that aspect, because this doesn't just happen overnight. Okay, so I think I've covered a lot in this video. I deal with real event false memory a lot. It's certainly something that played a huge part of my life, because OCD is going to scour the past, because he knows you cannot change the past. You cannot change the past. You cannot go back and change something that happened 5 years ago. You can only change your perspective of that, the power of perception. You can only change, well, how do I view it? Like the famous Viktor Frankl quote that I absolutely love: you can strip everything away from a person except one thing, and that's their chosen attitude in one situation. So I could take everything away from you right now. I could take all your family away. I could take all your money away. I could take all your possessions away. But I can't take one thing. I can't take your chosen attitude, your perception, your beliefs on that thing, on whatever it may be. Okay, and what that does then, it gives you that fearless response of, well, no matter what's bothering me now, no matter what the problem is, no matter what the issue is or the adversity, it's down to me and how I react to it. It's down to my perspective, and that has life-changing stuff, because you're not then playing the victim. You're not then blaming everyone else. You're not then saying, oh, it's your fault, or why me, why is this happened to me. Now, of course, there'll be things that you stand your ground, and things in your control that you can change. Yes, you don't just let everyone walk all over you. No, you're going to be firm, you're going to stand your ground, of course, but then it's having the wisdom to know the difference between what can I change and what can't I change, and especially the things what we can't change, looking at, well, I can change my perception on that, but I can't change many external things around me. Okay, and the same with things in the past. Even if you've done wrong, even if you've acted immorally, even if you've made a mistake, even if you've broken the law, even if you did something that you regret, it's all about your perspective today. That's exactly why you feel like how you do. If you feel anxious, if you feel very chronically guilty, if you feel chronically shameful, feel very depressed, feel like nothing else matters in life, it's because of your current perception. And that'll be why it's not, like I said, you can't go back and change that. Trying to do that is a waste of your time. You'd be spending your whole life doing that. You could be 92 years old on your deathbed and you're still trying to get an answer, still replaying it over and over again, going round and round trying to get an answer. You know, you don't want to spend your whole life trying to work it out, because OCD will just say, oh yeah, one more, work it out, yeah, just do it one more time and you'll get an answer. No, it really does not work like that. Okay, we have to go towards right. Working out doesn't work. Let's look at my beliefs, let's look at my perspectives. That's what's causing how I feel. That's what's causing the depression, the anxiety, the guilt, that nothing else matters. What's the point? It's our perspectives. Very, very important for you to hear. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sure it's been very relatable for you, mate, for many of you. He wants to say bye-bye. He just been staring at me all video. Love him. And I love going out in the garden now because he follows me everywhere, my dog. And he'll, if I'm out in the garden, he'll be there just watching me, just sort of cuddling and getting his ball, dropping his toys at my feet. He's so sweet. And you know, dogs are really amazing animals. But I'll do a whole new video on dogs if you're interested. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, please leave a like. If you're interested in our one-to-one services, please email phil@ocdrecovery.com. You'll also see, after I stop talking, you'll see like a page come up with the WhatsApp number as well, which will be very helpful. So you can get in touch with one-to-one calls, and look at the fears holding you back, look at the beliefs holding you back, seeing how trying to work it out isn't helping, and going down the unconditional acceptance path, and the not agreement, the acceptance path. Acceptance isn't agreement. That's very important to remember, and looking at your tailored approach of how you can overcome your specific OCD fears. So yeah, I will speak again, and I'll leave you with Baxter. Bye bye.